Good morning. I'm Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, your daily dose of smart, actionable insights from the best new nonfiction. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused to think about where you're really headed? Not this week or this quarter, but in the long run. In a world built for instant gratification, thinking long-term has become a kind of superpower. In the 2021 book, The Long Game, Dorie Clark, a business strategist who teaches at Columbia Business School, makes the case for patience, intentionality, and strategic slowness. Whether it's building relationships, mastering new skills, or simply deciding what not to do, Dorie offers a roadmap for how to succeed by playing the long game. Here's Dorie.
Hi, I'm Dorie Clark. I teach for Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, and I'm the author of the book, The Long Game, How to Be a Long-Term Thinker in a Short-Term World. In the past decade of my research, what I've learned is this. We pretty much all think that strategic thinking is important, and almost none of us feel like we have the time to do it. Obviously, that's a problem. So this is a book about how to actually make strategic thinking happen and apply those principles to our lives and our careers. So here are 5 of my favorite big ideas from The Long Game. Decide what to be bad at. I love it because this sounds like a terrible idea. But hear me out. My friends Frances Frei, who's a professor at Harvard Business School, and Ann Morris, an entrepreneur, wrote a book a number of years ago called Uncommon Service about service industry businesses. They were trying to figure out why so many businesses, airlines, banks, whatever, were just mediocre and so few were awesome. And what they discovered is, I'm quoting, choosing to be bad is your only shot at achieving greatness, and resisting it is a recipe for mediocrity. Boom! Mic drop. I realized that applies in our own lives as well. We're all thrilled. Think about where we can excel, and we somehow figure that we can excel at a few things and be fine at everything else. But no, we have to commit to the essence of strategy, which is saying, I'm going to drop this ball completely so I can be amazing somewhere else. There are hard choices we have to make. Don't launch that initiative. Shut that other one down. Take 3 weeks to answer an email. That's often what I do, for better or for worse. But those hard choices are worth it if they allow you to completely outstrip the competition elsewhere. So think about where you want to make your mark and where you're willing to cede ground and say, this just isn't that important. I'm going to let it go. You've probably heard about the 20% time concept from Google, which made it famous. The idea is that employees get to spend up to a fifth of their time on speculative projects that don't relate to their day jobs, just things that employees are interested in that they think will help benefit the company. Let's say something up front. It is challenging to carve out 20% time. One survey revealed that even at Google, which literally is the company known for this, only 10% of employees do it. And you can see why. People have meetings and emails and all their regular work. It takes extra effort to fight to protect your 20% time. But I'm going to suggest that it shouldn't just be Google employees doing this. It should be all of us. Because if COVID showed us nothing else, it's that we can't predict what's coming down the pike. And the best way to protect ourselves from uncertainty is to work to develop skills and knowledge and connections that we didn't even know we needed, because it's like a Swiss Army knife. We're ready for anything. For me, I've spent the past 5 years assiduously training to become a musical theater lyricist. Why? Why not? It helps me build a huge network of people I wouldn't have connected with otherwise. I've expanded myself. It's fun, and it's opened up new opportunities down the line I can't even predict. That's not to say it's easy even for me to carve out the time. Working on musical theater lyrics when you have 100 unanswered emails glowering at you might seem indulgent, but I've realized it's important. And no one's going to hand you that time. You need to take that time for yourself. It's also true that 20% time can be emotionally difficult in some ways. I learned that in writing musical theater when I entered a training program and everyone had more experience than I did, There were even multiple people in the program that literally had master's degrees in musical theater, and I was just figuring things out. As adults, we stop being comfortable being really bad at something. But if we are going to get better, we need to get comfortable with that. And 20% time is a way that we can practice in a low-risk way. If something goes wrong with 20% time, if it doesn't turn out the way you want, it's not going to break you. It's only 20% of your time. It really is an experiment. But if it goes right, sometimes things can go really right. That's how Google invented Gmail. It's how they invented Google News. It could be your next big thing, too, if we're willing to do it. So maybe for you, the 20% time is spent on networking and building connections with new people you wouldn't normally have time to get to know. Or it could be taking online classes or reading books or working on a special project or initiative. You can pick the topic, you can pick the form, but making the investment and protecting that time so it doesn't get swallowed up is a critical investment in the person you're going to become. Embrace heads up and heads down mode. A problem I often see in the coaching clients I work with is they're so frustrated because they're not making the progress they want. But if you dig a little deeper, you discover that a really common cause of the problem is that they're failing to shift modes. And this is important because long-term thinking is great, it's essential, but the key to getting anything done, of course, is taking action on it. So we all need to get better at toggling between two modes. Heads up mode, when we're taking in ideas and insights and we're meeting people, we're making connections, we're figuring out what we're going to do. That is exciting and it's fast-paced and it's kind of sexy, but you have to eventually balance it with heads down mode, where you focus and you execute. Because if you don't, everything just stays a good idea, but it never happens. By understanding the right time to look for new ideas in heads up mode, and to make progress on them in heads down mode, we're able to make sure we're doing what needs to be done. We're not quitting too soon and constantly snapping back into heads up mode looking for the next thing, and we're not persisting too long on a bad idea by never leaving heads down mode. I'll tell you, writing and launching a book keeps you very honest on this front. When I was writing The Long Game, you seriously have to hide from people. You're in full-on heads down mode. You're writing for hours a day. But then suddenly there's a switch because it's time to promote it. And all you're doing is going on podcasts like this amazing one, and you're talking to people about your book every day. You're doing interviews, and it can feel weird, like a strange form of whiplash to go from heads down mode so suddenly into heads up mode. But life almost always isn't about just doing one thing. It's about creating that balance so we have the best chance possible of being on the right path. So for all of us, it's worth thinking about whether we already have a good balance of heads up and heads down, or if maybe we have a propensity to lean too far in one direction. And if we do, being cognizant enables us to help correct it. No asks for a year. Obviously, a key part of playing the long game is building long-term relationships. And the fastest way to blow that up is to ask a new contact for a favor too soon. So I created the no asks for a year rule. Of course, that doesn't mean asking them to do something with you, which is the point of friendship, to have shared activities, or asking them a simple question like where they got their sweater. But especially if you're cultivating a relationship with a high-status person, you have to be aware that a lot of people want things from them, and you do not want to be one of those people because you're going to look like a user, whether you are or you're not. I learned this the hard way years ago. I met this woman at a conference, and we'd struck up a nice email friendship, and we'd traded a few messages back and forth. So far so good. And then I saw a video where she'd spoken to an organization that I wanted to break into. So I sent her a note asking for advice on how to do that. And let's be clear, I wasn't asking for an introduction, just advice. But I never heard back from her. And I realized, oh, that was too close. She just didn't know me well enough to know the difference between me and the people who would have used that opportunity to pounce and to ask for advice as an excuse and then say, oh, well, that sounds like a perfect fit. Can you introduce me now? So I learned, stay far away from all of that to keep them from inferring that you have an agenda, and frankly, to keep yourself from even subconsciously constructing one. The no asks for a year rule keeps you honest. You're only focused on building your friendship and your connection with that person. And once you are friends, then it's easy to ask for and do for each other plenty of favors because you genuinely care for each other and no one is keeping score. Understanding the deception phase. The thing about achieving long-term goals is they almost always take way longer than we want them to. And for long, sometimes dispiriting periods, we don't see very much progress at all. Sometimes it might even be no progress. And that's why a lot of smart and talented people give up, perhaps understandably, but I believe that many of them give up too soon. So a concept that gives me a lot of comfort, which I talk about in The Long Game, comes from Peter Diamandis and Steven Kotler, who write about something that they call the deception phase of exponential technology, which is their term for things like 3D printing or artificial intelligence or self-driving cars or even digital photography, which improve exponentially over time. So for a long time, people look at the progress that's being made, or apparent lack thereof, and they are totally unimpressed. They're like, I thought that was going to be a thing, but this is kind of pathetic. But the trick is, all along, progress is doubling. That's the whole point of exponential growth. It's just so small and so tiny at first, it can't be perceived unless you look very closely. But at a certain point, still on that trajectory, the progress becomes visible to the naked eye, and then, wow, they wonder where it came from because it overtook everything so fast. All of a sudden, it's visible. It's like the number of lily pads on a pond doubling overnight. So if you are in the thick of the deception phase right now, if you're trying to accomplish something, to make progress, to get something done, and it's just not showing right now, it can feel lonely and frustrating and like nothing is going right sometimes. But remembering that others have been there, including people who've developed the groundbreaking technology that all of us use every day, can help us get through those difficult times. So for many of us who might feel like we're not making the progress that we want in our lives or in our careers, it's important to remember that it's not that progress isn't happening. It's just that it's not visible yet to the outside world. So we need to look very closely and carefully to spot the signs, those early signs of progress. And when we find them, to have the faith to persevere through the deception phase, even when others may be dismissive, because that's how we get to the other side and achieve the goals that we most want.
Thank you, Dory. Listeners, you can get yourself a copy of The Long Game using the link in the episode notes. And remember, go to nextbigideaclub.com to find out about our hardback subscription club, where we'll send you the best new nonfiction books as chosen by our curators, Susan Cain, Daniel Pink, Malcolm Gladwell, and Adam Grant. And at checkout, you can use the code DAILY to get a 20% discount. That's nextbigideaclub.com and use the code DAILY. That does it for us this week. These episodes were written by me, Michael Kovnat, and edited by Caleb Bissinger. We'll see you Monday.